The best salespeople in the world are the ones who do it without you even noticing. Everyone's a salesperson, especially if you're an entrepreneur. In the I'm Not Salesy podcast, join me, Cassie McKenzie, and my fabulous guests as we dive into the top strategies, mindset, and energetics around sales and money so that you can hear more yes, I'm in instead of crickets or getting ghosted. So if you're ready to fully book out your programs with aligned AF clients and have people chasing you down in your inbox asking how to work with you, then subscribe to this podcast today and become not salesy too. Okay, today we are talking about cracking the code for consistent sales months. And obviously, if you have a business that is easily hitting 6 figures every year, you are aiming for multiple 6 or 7 or 8 figures, clearly you know how to sell. But I think no matter how great I was at selling in my previous sales life, and no matter how great my sales are going online in my business, there's always room for growth. And that growth mindset is the thing that's, part of the story around what's not going to change your, make you have like these up and down sales months. But also what I wanted to dive into today was really some topics that not a lot of people are talking about because they don't want to. And I want nothing to be off limits here. I want you to be able to walk away with like the motivation to take action, to know what kinds of action to take from listening to this podcast and to know that you're in good hands here, but also to just feel empowered to do the damn thing because that's what having big sales is all about. It's not about the money. It's about feeling empowered because you can sell all you want and be like half-hearted about it and always have that feeling of, gosh, isn't there supposed to be more to it than this? But when you are fully like connected deeply connected and rooted into like what you're selling in your business, then there's like no limits, okay? So the one thing that I've noticed and I want to talk about here in working with my clients is especially those that have climbed to 7 figures. I'll tell you, the difference between people who make 7 figures and people who make six figures are not that huge, okay? It's just that 7-figure business owners work through their issues faster. They don't sit and think about, taking action. They go ahead and take action. They don't sit and think about hiring somebody. They go and take it. They're like more apt to, take the risk and move on because really there's a lot of other things you'd rather be doing with your time that you're missing out on, as well as things you'd rather be doing in your business than sitting and overthinking things. So that's why, like, a lot of times in my, in the coaching that I do, the mentorship, especially the big sales breath work, the work that we're doing is not so much like, here, use this strategy here. It's more about like connecting you into those answers that are already there so that you can take faster action and see faster results. So the number one thing that I see people when we're talking about cracking this code to consistent sales and not just sales, but sales growth. So having your book of business, but then also growing it consistently. I see people who are not adapting their sales strategies to what's happening in the market, changes that are happening in the market. Number one, in what I see with this, is not being like super specific in messaging. You've heard me talk about messaging a lot here, but not even that. That is like a symptom of not feeling connected to the community that you've built online and not welcoming customer feedback and kind of having a wall up between you and the people that desperately want to be in your world. And that can be dream clients, right? And so you might neglect to ask for customer feedback, or, you might not ask, maybe be afraid of asking people like, okay, why didn't you decide to buy? Why did you decide to buy? Because maybe you're afraid of what other people are going to think. And if this resonates, I want you to, not judge yourself. This is not a moment to judge yourself. This is 100% just a moment for reflection to see what opportunities you have there so that we can make you more money. But I always feel like, I mean, I can see both sides of the story, because there were times where I did not want to hear, especially in my business. I didn't want to hear people say that they had, bad feedback. I mean, I think I actually, let me out myself here. I have noticed a pattern in myself where I was afraid to read testimonials. So I would ask for feedback from people, and then I wouldn't even read it. I wouldn't read the testimonial for like weeks. Whereas other people would be like, oh my God, I got a testimonial. Let me celebrate myself. It's almost like this weird thing of celebrating myself felt awkward, because it wasn't like tied to a result that I personally did. You know what I mean? I was like, it was tied to like client results that that I helped them get. But it was almost like, it's like this connection between me not wanting to read the testimonial because I didn't want to accept their results for my own. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. I mean, I know it makes sense in my head, so it probably makes sense in yours too. But that's just one example. Like, being 100% like okay with reading feedback, and whether it's great or bad, right? Then that can really make a difference in your bottom line. Like, there's golden nuggets. If it's good feedback, right? Ask yourself right now, if you're one of those people that has a hard time celebrating yourself, and a hard time asking for feedback, because maybe you grew up in a household where it was perfect or nothing else. Like, that's how I did, where it was like, okay, you better get straight A's. You can't get a B. I remember one time I brought like a C+ home on an interim report, like, what is it? 4 weeks into the 9-week period. And I got like in such huge trouble, like traumatic trouble for that. And I was like, holy shit, it's got to be perfect or else. And so in my corporate life, obviously that kind of like trauma like does you well, because everybody in corporate is like fucking out of their mind with wanting perfect work, and especially in pharmaceutical sales. And so, that served me well. But when I came out and started my own company, it didn't serve me that great, because, I wanted validation. I didn't want feedback. I wanted to be like, you're doing a great job. Here's your raise. And that just doesn't happen like in your entrepreneurial journey. Anyway, so ask yourself though, why? Why am I so weird about this? Like, I got curious. I got really freaking curious with myself. And I was like, well, this is strange. This is really interesting. Like, what is this all about? Why am I so weird about wanting feedback? Why am I so weird about reading my own testimonials? I'm going to go write them all down on one piece of paper, and I did. Like, some people create a vision board or a hindsight board. I say create a why me board, like, put all of that proof, put all of that validation that you've got from all those happy customers on there. Because as you grow, you're going to start getting feedback whether you like it or not, but you can also solicit it so that you have even more stuff to celebrate. Because when you're celebrating, you're bringing that vibe up into the space where you're asking for more and welcoming more too. Okay. And then the other thing that I notice as far as cracking the code to consistent sales growth is this. And this kind of goes along with not adapting to market changes, because, and let me just touch on that one first. A lot, especially if you've been in the coaching industry or you've been online, a lot of these businesses that we've started are still fairly new compared to like Coca-Cola that's been here since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Our businesses are still kind of new. And so we've seen a lot of people come and go, but there's also a lot of people who have this toxic kind of, I don't want to say positivity, but they insinuate the fact that like, you don't have to pay attention to things happening in the market. You don't have to align your energy with that. And while it's true, you don't have to align your energy with that, But you may have to, just like any other industry, adapt some of your sales strategies and techniques and things to the way the market's buying, right? So if you are somebody who normally did like networking solely to get new clients, and like you went to in-person networking events, you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you're not online attending networking events or even starting your own online so that you can save time and save gas money, right? I mean, hi. And save like your sanity and meet 10 times as many people, especially if your business relies on referrals, like you're a real estate agent or you're an accountant or a lawyer, or if you just have like a really great personality that people, completely eat up when they see you online or see you in person. Make sure you're adapting to that. And because of that, this segues into the other thing that I see the mistake people make, which is lacking a solid sales funnel. If you're willy-nilly out there and you don't have a method to get consistent leads coming into your world, then you got to ask yourself why. Like, what's stopping you from creating something like that? Whether it's that solid sales funnel. If you don't know when or where your next client could possibly come from, then that's kind of a problem because, it's really, really easy to set up sales funnels. In fact, I actually have a program called Sales on Demand that teaches you how to do that. And I give you breathworks to help you through those moments where you are like self-sabotaging or overthinking things or whatever the case may be. Like when you're sitting down to write your content and your mind goes blank and you're like, what the fuck do I write? I give you a breath work to help you figure out how to write that. And when you're like, what is my messaging, great enough today? Do I need to adjust it? I give you a breath work to connect with your ideal clients. And so you can see what, get like the most amazing specific messaging for the exact type of client that you want to bring into your program. And I love it for that because it makes this sales funnel really, really solid for sending a steady stream of people into your world. And that's what marketing is all about, right? And marketing leads to sales. So if you want some info on that, just let me know. Send me a message on Instagram and I can get you the link for that. And you can dive right in. It's all pre-recorded. In fact, I sat down to record a couple of the breathworks for the program today, and then our internet went out. So I couldn't really get on Zoom, but I'm recording this episode right now for this podcast on my GarageBand, which does not need internet. So that's a positive. We just pivot, right? Just like Ross. Okay. But I want you to start noticing where these, are you making any of these mistakes? And we're going to use the word mistakes kind of lightly because really what's underlying there is just some basic fears that your nervous system has been conditioned to accept as normal showstoppers, like reasons for you to put the brakes on and stop what you're doing and live an average life that you don't really want to live. And, have standards that are lower than what you really would actually want to accept, And when you have, like, for example, a fear of not meeting your sales target because maybe you failed in the past, or maybe you got in trouble for having a C on your report card and in the eyes of somebody else, you failed or you didn't meet your quota if you were in sales or whatever, then that can show up as trauma in your body that actually puts the brakes on. Your nervous system thinks it's a good idea to put the brakes on and just throw these light little flavors of self-sabotage like perfectionism, or maybe you procrastinate on the thing you need to do in order to, stop energetically wiping yourself out because, when all of these open tabs are open in the back of your mind, it's keeping you from the actual money-making things and keeping you from like that energetic like magnetism because your energy's leaking all over the place. You're not really acting from a space of like your highest potential since you're distracted by the things that you need to do, but you don't really want to do. And so because of that, that keeps you from overall achieving like that, having these consistent sales months and growing, having this predictable revenue growth, and increasing your sales and having this consistency that fills you with security, financial security, time security, where, that feeling of like, I know exactly how much time to spend on this, how much time, like I spend this amount of time here and I make this amount of money here and it grows by this and this and this. And then you start to exponentially grow your sales because you get so good at it. But if you're constantly in this waiting mode of stop, start, you're never going to get that momentum going to have that consistency. And because of that, you might have these patterns of like being, consistent on Instagram and Instagram stories like 3 times a week, but then you disappear for 5 days. So the people who really love you and who are watching you from behind the scenes for those days, they're like frustrated because, they're having to go to somebody else. They want to work with you and they want to have this like, they want to be part of your loyal community. So you're building this like loyal fan base, but because somewhere in you is afraid of losing customers to competitors or other people and service providers that are doing similar things as you, it just causes you to stop. Or maybe you're looking at your sales results thinking like, oh my God, I'm not there yet. And because of that, you kind of unplug your energy. And that's why I love breathwork so much, right? I love it because you are able to work through these self-sabotage moments that normally would cause you to lose out on sales, to lose out on consistency, to overcomplicate things, to say, oh my God, I can't possibly show up on my Instagram story today because my dog is sick and or my hair's turning gray and I need to color it first, or, I had a flat tire or I'm not that interesting. People aren't going to care what I have to say. So why should I even bother? And meanwhile, if there's 100 people there who are like waiting for your little face bubble to show up on Insta story and be like, holy shit, what's she been up to for the last 2 days? It's probably really cool stuff. You know what I mean? So commit to yourself, because otherwise, we don't want to live a life of fluctuating sales, right? And then, having you get all stressed out because of that unpredictability and, feeling overwhelmed and wanting to burn your business down and go work at McDonald's constantly. Like, that is not an option in my world at all, unless you like love McDonald's so much that you want to work there and be like, you want fries with that. Like, if that's the jam, then if that's your dream, then go for it. But I don't think that's your dream. I think your dream is running your company, making a shit ton of money, helping people all over the world. Like, basically the vibe of, I get paid for helping people. I get paid for changing lives. I'm rewarded. I'm rewarded for, like being myself. I get paid for being me. Like, how cool is that? So if this landed with you, like, here's the other option of what to do instead. Okay. Here's the other option of what to do instead. You want to have some sort of method to put the temperature check on yourself of where am I? Like, why am I not taking action? And to, have this curiosity where you call yourself out and you're like, okay, first of all is awareness. Am I doing this thing? Why am I doing this thing? Just from simple curiosity. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? So you got awareness of what am I doing? Why am I not, for example, let's just go with the Insta story. Why have I not posted anything about my offer on Insta story? Like 70% of people are buying on Instagram and they're looking at Insta stories and that's where they buy. So how come I'm not selling anything? And then very, very, seriously, from like a place of curiosity, not judgment. Be curious, not judgmental. Just like Ted Lasso says. Just be honest with yourself and feel the feelings that you need to feel. I'm telling you, the things that are holding you back from doing this are stored in your body. It's these feelings. You might start to feel the contraction in your body where your chest feels like it's getting tight. The anxiety starts to set in and you're like, oh my God, And that's what's stopping you. That's why mindset work doesn't work as effectively as the big sales breath work that I do. Because it's not mind over matter so much, because these stored emotions and memories and things are in your body. And because they're in their body, there's this connection between the mind and the body that's triggering them and triggering this fight or flight response that makes you just not take action at all. Or go do something else. Or you start to look around and get super vigilant at how much shit is all over every single countertop around your house and that you need to clean it up right that moment. So it draws your attention away from the task that you're currently in and, distracts you out because it just seems so overwhelming. And that's where breath work really helps you and is the key to not just moving through and moving out these old emotions, but the way I do it is to reprogram your mind to accept success as normalized so that you are able to adapt to market changes easily and take feedback from your customers and create multiple funnels that naturally bring streams of people into your world over and over and over again, so that you're not afraid of meeting your sales targets. You're not afraid of losing customers to competitors. You're not afraid of financial instability because it's not even a possibility for you. Okay? And so you're able to say goodbye to the fluctuating sales and literally feel in your body where you can't even find having that stress in your body, that tightness when you think about, your sales, because they're not unpredictable anymore. You move that stress out of your body and then you welcome the sales in as normal, and it creates this natural calm state in your body where you're like, oh, yeah, this is of course I make these sales all the time. Of course I just had my highest cash day ever. That's just what I do. That's just how I do. Okay. So if that sounds good and you want to explore the world of big sales breath work with me, then send me a DM on Instagram. You can say you listened on the podcast, and I have a special bonus for you if you're a podcast listener, for when you join a very special secret society that I'm opening up here, called Breathe Your Way to Millions. And this is opening here in May. And if you want the details, send me a message and I can get you some information on it. You can come join us in there. And like I said, because you're a podcast listener, you get a special bonus. So make sure you tell me you're listening from the podcast. And I look forward to seeing you next time, where we're going to be talking about persuasion and influence and really mastering that art of persuasion and influence. All right, I will talk with you next time. Screenshot this episode and invite 10 of your friends to listen to it too. Invite all your friends to listen to this podcast, because you are really going to walk away with actionable tips and know exactly what's going on that's keeping you from making the sales that you really want to make. And I can't wait to help you increase your impact and your influence. Yo, thank you so much for choosing to push play on another episode of I'm Not Salesy. This is the place to be if you want to sell your way to millions, and if you want to breathe your way to millions too. So be sure to tell 10 of your friends about this podcast so that they can learn how to be not salesy as well and grow their sales to over millions and millions and millions. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you.